Hey everybody, sorry it took me so long to get back on track. Was dealing with a couple of things, primarily, to be perfectly honest, some depression, some anxiety, some back pain issues, etc., etc. And also I got hung up on trying to verify a few facts, which I still haven't verified to my satisfaction. But I think where we left off in the last video was talking about Chris Hansen um, getting flack from a lot of YouTubers for false copyright strikes. I don't remember how much I went into that, but part of what the issue was is there are many, or at least several, YouTube channels that are dedicated to at least sometimes, if not full time, covering well, it's considered what they call the TCAP community. They cover, review, and comment on ep- different episodes of To Catch a Predator or multiple episodes. Well, apparently, what was happening was Chris Hansen or someone on his team started uh, doing copyright strikes on some of these creators. And what the problem was is Chris Hansen, there's a couple of interviews that shows where he said himself that he believed that anything with his name, his work, or his image that he owned the rights to. And that's not necessarily legal or true. Now, he may have honestly and truly believed that, but that's not really how things work with regards to ownership and copyrights. The short version of it is he was taking. First, he was copyright striking several of these creators, and then simultaneously or soon after was taking the footage from these creators and using it on his own channel. And then he would get copyright struck. The problem is a lot of what he was taking from someone else's channel was considered transformative, which meant that they, as most of you know, which means you go in, you do a commentary, or you change something about it, and you make it a different product, so to speak, than what was originally presented. You change it enough to where you can tell it's not the original version. Well, he would take and use these other creators' product on his channel. Now, many times this would include commentary, additional information, pictures, animations, and in some cases there would be follow-up information like footage of actual police interrogations that was not presented on To Catch a Predator. And oftentimes people would file FOIA, Freedom of Information Act forms in order to acquire this. Sometimes they had to pay a fee for these things. And Chris Hansen or his team, when I say Chris Hansen, from here on out, I mean, generally speaking, I also mean those who was working with him, which basically consisted of, on the most part, Vincent Nicotra and his fiancee Janice. Well, so understandably, a lot of people were getting quite upset that Chris would be copyright striking them for fair use product, while at the same time taking their transformative videos and using them as his own. And this caused quite a lot of ruckus in the TCAP community. And as a result, his Hansen versus Predator website wasn't doing very well, especially considering he would charge for access to videos and information on his website. I believe it was like almost, it was somewhere around $10 a month or $85 a year, for access and information and personal messages from Chris and stuff like that. Anyway, I don't believe there's been much activity on that site in the last year, but I digress. So anyway, there was a lot of flack about that going back and forth, and rightfully so, people started calling him out on a lot of this behavior. And as a result, he basically tried to make it sound like that because he was so successful, that because he was a journalist, everybody, these other people didn't know what they were talking about. He was a professional. There's even a quote where he says something to the effect of, I was a journalist before YouTube. I'll be a journalist even after YouTube, etc., etc. Basically having the attitude that he could do no wrong because he knew more about copyrights and journalism than anybody else, or most people at least, on YouTube. In the meantime, he was also presenting, he had started, I think it was around October 2019, he had started a new video series around the issue of a creator called Onision. And if you don't know who Onision is, I will try to add a link down below to get you kind of familiar with what he's about. Basically, he's one of the, what some would call an OG YouTuber. He was here from, early 2000s, and I believe he owns some YouTube stock. Whatever the case is, he had some minor success with a video that went on to be presented on a couple of comedy shows or something. Anyway, it was called I'm a Banana, which, think of the mentality of like a 3-year-old child or something, as far as the maturity level of the video. Anyway, he had some success, and he grew a following, and he was very successful on YouTube. And then people started calling him out for different behaviors, like showing photos that girls had sent to him to be judged on their fitness, and he would present these photos of minors online, and even to the point of where someone contacted him and said, hey, look, my sister's only 13 years old. You showed a picture of her in a skimpy outfit. Can you please take it down? I don't want her to be made fun of or get a bad reputation, etc., etc. He refused. Alright, it gets worse from there, but I'm not going to delve too deep into Onision. Excuse me for just a minute. Well, at the early part of 2019, there was some discussion about how a certain young lady named Sarah, who had gone back and forth staying with Onision and his spouse. It's a whole nother story in itself. And she was like 15 years old at the time. She would return home, come back, return home, come back. And there were allegations that he was creepy around younger women, or he was being very suggestive to certain women. He'd had a strange relationship with a couple of other young women, and some other people also noted that most of the women he got seriously involved with despite how old he was, he had a pattern of going after young women who were around 17. I mean, it's like he would get older, but his um, target age of his partners would stay the same. So ultimately, it gets down to where there were claims that he had groomed this young woman, Sarah, because very shortly after she turned 18, he and his spouse entered into an intimate relationship with her. She denied this at first, and later came out that she was pressured into denying it. And someone, I don't know exactly how it got started, but eventually Blair White, who is another controversial but very popular YouTube personality, came on to Chris's new um, show. It was about online predators, and Onision was one of the people that were discussed among a couple of others. After a few episodes of discussing people who had an opinion and information on Onision because they had been following him for years, a couple of them at least 10 years or more, like Mr. Repsion and Stevie Wolf, um, that were certainly no fans of Onision's at all, and they'd had their run-ins with him, and they basically were on his ass as far as gathering information and trying to hold him accountable. All right, from this, eventually, the Hansen team got in touch with the young woman and some of the other young ladies that Onision had relationships with, and there were allegations of abusive behavior and grooming and other things like that. Now, at some point, this group of young women became known as the survivors. Now, one of them was a young woman named Shiloh, who had been a pop star in Canada when she met Onision when she was 17. But she was successful to the point of where she had a song on the charts. She had her videos were being shown on TV stations and kid shows, different things. Anyway, so the survivors started coming on one and two at a time, etc., etc. At some point, it was revealed that it was previously revealed that Onision's spouse Kai had sent partially nude photos to Sarah when she was a minor. Now, during the Hansen interviews, it was said that Sarah still had the laptop that contained some of these photos, even though she'd bought this laptop from them. We some people that I know and myself tend to call the couple, Onision and his spouse Kai. His real name is Gregory Jackson, but he keeps changing it anyway. So Greg and Kai, we just call them the Onions. Long story. So, but Sarah had a couple of mobile devices and a laptop that had evidence on it, and she was encouraged to send them to the Hansen team's tech advisor or tech coordinator, Vincent Nicotra, to be forwarded on to their contacts with the FBI. Now, all through this, Hansen's been talking about his police contacts and his influence with police departments, etc., etc. So this equipment gets sent to them, and he keeps talking about how the investigation is progressing. He's still gathering evidence. He's having more people on his show. It's, his viewership is going up into the thousands, in the tens of thousands. He's getting, I believe at some point his viewership got to 6 million, and his sub count was in the tens of thousands. Well, there came a point, I believe it was in March or April of 2019, where a Newsweek reporter named Steve, I think it's pronounced Asarge, did an interview with Sarah, and I wasn't really happy with the tone of the interview, because I thought there was a little bit of victim blaming in there, and that. But that was just an opinion I had, and all that. Later on, we find out he comes out and says, there was something I wasn't sure about, so I got in touch with the police in Washington State where all of this occurred, and I wanted to see about this fact or this information, and lo and behold, there is no investigation against the Onions or against Greg. That the police department had no idea who Sarah was or anything having to do with Hansen. They had no connection to him or anybody else involved with the show. Now, of course, this made a lot of people mad, because apparently what the plan was, the equipment had been sitting on Vincent's desk for a couple of months, and he had planned to copy the hard drives or make copies of all the information before sending it on to the FBI. And to my understanding, this would essentially make this information useless if it isn't already. So there were a lot of people upset about this. And during this same time, even before all this happened, behind the scenes, there was a lot of issues with Vincent Nicotra. Now, he's a whole nother issue that I would have to do at least one, if not two, whole videos on just by himself, about him being abusive and doxing and people, and going into live streams of Hansen supporters and pressuring people, and just a lot of bull going on. I don't believe that Hansen was aware of everything that Vincent was doing, but he had to have been aware of some of it at least. So, like I said, Hansen had already gotten a lot of flack about the copyright strikes and everything. And people were starting to push that a little bit aside, saying, oh, well, he just doesn't understand how the internet works, and, he's still learning about all this, etc., etc. And then we find out that he wasn't happy, that when all of this came out about about there's no real investigation going on, people were complaining that a lot of the shows were being repetitive. He was asking a lot of the same questions over and over again. He was interviewing people that had little to nothing to do with what had happened. And so there was some grumbling in the social media communities, to the point where he went to the mother, and this has been documented. He went to the mother, I believe her name is Marcy, oh goodness, Marcia or Marcia Dorsey, who is the mother of Twitter CEO, I believe his name is Jack Dorsey, and complained because he was getting all this flack. And like I said, other YouTubers started calling him out and everything. And so he started talking about all the haters, and he started dropping a lot of information about, how he was being victimized by all these people who didn't understand what he was doing. They didn't understand how things work, how journalism and journalistic investigations work, etc., etc. Well, there was another YouTuber named Tamimi that I've followed for a while. She, um, Creepshow Arts, John Swan, Nick Diorio, and several others, Augie RFG. Anyway, they started comparing notes. They started upping the ante on their information and everything. And according to several YouTubers, Tamimi eventually just got sick of it and said, you know what? I want to talk to the FBI. I want to find out why this isn't being investigated. I want to know, what's going on. So she contacted them, showed them the Hansen videos, told them about the claims, told them about the accusations against the Onision, etc., etc. And ultimately, she helped get the electronic devices into the hands of the FBI, and they are now finally investigating the situation. Now, because of all this, Chris Hansen is now claiming that he's being persecuted online, that people are just jealous. He's calling these people who called him out the Goon Squad, which includes the people I mentioned before, as well as some others. Some that I like, some I don't like, as far as some of their content and everything. Now, the ones I've already mentioned, I have no issues with. I like their content and everything. But there are others who I don't particularly like, or at least don't like their content sometimes. But there are many, many creators who are not letting this rest, who are, they're not attacking Hansen personally, they're attacking his methodology and his claims that there was an investigation going on all along. And along the way, there have also been some very questionable people that he's featured on his show. Vincent Nicotra, who was his technical specialist. There was someone that he brought on his show that claimed to have a cure for COVID-19 way back in February, I think it was. There was another guy who does internet scams, MLM scams online for a living, that basically endorsed. This guy brought in, he went to Onision's house under the guise of confrontation, knowing it wasn't going to work. And he brought along with him his lawyer, whose name is Mike Morse, who happens to be involved. Now, this is a lawyer who is working closely with victims who said that they have been emotionally manipulated, abused, groomed, etc., etc. In some cases, there have been some allusions that there could have been physical abuse by one or both of the onions, etc. And the lawyer that Hansen is working with is a lawyer who has been accused of groping, fondling, being sexually inappropriate with members of his own staff and other people as well. He's been under investigation several times. There's been, like I said, there's been several questionable people. There's been someone named Anonymous Gene who is supposedly working with him, who has doxed and harassed not only people who have been on the show, but people who have commented on the, made any kind of negative comments and such. There's been a lot of that, of people being doxxed, their channels being taken down, otherwise being harassed whenever they say something against Chris Hansen or his team. There's even a few people who said that Chris Hansen's girlfriend became involved in the behind-the-scenes dealings with some of the survivors, and that we're trying to pressure them into giving a certain impression, or trying to take things in a certain direction as far as, what happened and how it happened and when it happened, all that kind of stuff, trying to influence, what these witnesses and survivors were talking about. Now, at the moment, Hansen has gone on to uh, the investigation into Onision's kind of stalled out where Hansen is concerned. He's gone on to Davi Vanity, who is a singer with Blood on the Dance Floor, which is a band I was not real familiar with, and the more I looked into him, the less I was interested. He's questioned Jeffree Star. Basically, whoever is going to get the most clicks and views, I think. When there's a lot of other more relevant issues dealing with, he hasn't finished the first one yet, but. And so now the most recent thing is apparently he has a deal in the works with the ID channel that he used to work with, I believe, when he was doing Crime Watch Daily, and had replayed a lot of where he started the Hansen versus Predator, showing some of the videos from To Catch a Predator. That's another whole story in itself. But apparently, most of the survivors were never consulted, were not given any opportunity to object to him taking their stories and having them presented, under his name and under his direction. I do know that some of them are, one or two have said, basically it was out of my hands, so I went ahead and cooperated, so, I would be allowed to be involved. Otherwise, no one's going to hear, my side of things. A couple of others, at least 3 that I have read about, are looking into legal action and see what they can do to, even if they can't stop this production, maybe at least see that it's presented fairly and with their input, if at all. So, yeah, there's a lot going on here. There's no way I was going to be able to cover Chris Hansen in just one video. This is not all there is to the story either. If you'd like for me to go more in depth, or if you'd like to know more about his team and some of the things going on with his team, such as, like I said, the doxing, the harassment, the threats, the questionable people he's been working with, let me know down below here, and I will, I have some of that information already, but I'll be glad to go more into it for you. So in the meantime, like I said, give me your constructive criticism. Tell me what I should have done better. Tell me what you'd like to see more of, what you'd like to see less of. And tell me what you'd like to see in the future. And, with all the things that are going on out there outside of our windows and doors, take the time to be kind to each other. Take care of yourself. Take care of your physical health, your mental health. But also kind of try to look out for everybody, maybe not everybody, but other people too, especially those who may not be as likely to take care of themselves, because not everybody has a precious little princess like I have right here. Show your face, baby. That's my baby princess. This is Athena. She's a dainty little buttercup. Anyway, so take care, you guys. And I look forward to hearing your comments and seeing, how I can do better, and see what you're interested in hearing next time. So, take care, be well, and we'll see you soon.